Greetings, I'm Nicole. Thank you for joining us this morning as we are celebrating Posadas. Thank you, Northgate, for bringing this free class together for the community. We are so grateful, and what a great way to join, right? Would spend our Saturday morning together.
Exactly.
So thank you, Alicia, for co-hosting with me today. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I'm just want to start by saying that we're going to move in between two recipes today. We're going to make Buñuelos de Viento, and we're also going to make Atole de Chocolate Abuelita, but they both need some heating and some warming. So we're going to start with the Atole. So I'm going to go ahead and show you my ingredients. I have here some water, which is going to be the base of our atole, with some chocolate abuelita and cinnamon sticks, some canela. And we're also going to use milk, a pinch of salt, some vanilla, and cornstarch. We're going to use cornstarch as thickener. So what you want to do is we're going to start with a pot, and I'm just going to go ahead and add 2 cups of water to this pot, along with my cinnamon sticks and just a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm just gonna eyeball it, but go ahead and measure if you'd like. It's about a teaspoon there. And our beautiful chocolate abuelita. I feel like I've just continuously buy chocolate abuelita all through the posadas, and Northgate has it really well stocked, so it's perfect because they know we're drinking it. I think it's even on display at the front of the store.
I'm sure it is, because it's one of the top things you need to make your posadas happen.
Right? For everything, for champurrado, for atole, for chocolate caliente, to make cakes. I mean, you name it, we're using it. Okay. It smells so good.
I know Teresa had a class with Abril the other day, and I think last week, and she was making tamales with chocolate de abuelita, and her daughter wanted to eat the whole thing just whole.
I don't blame the daughter. I would want to too. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start to boil this mixture. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and start to boil this mixture. And once the chocolate starts to break down, we'll go ahead and make sure that we use our molenillo to really dissolve it and to break it down. But in the meantime, I'm gonna move it over so that I could start to heat my oil for my buñuelos as well. So I'm just gonna cover this, and let me see, here we go. Yay. And bring this puppy over here so that we could start to heat our oil for our Buñuelos de Viento. For the oil for the Buñuelos de Viento, I'm gonna lower my flame down to about a medium low and start to really heat up the oil. The reason I'm gonna heat up the oil ahead of time is because I also wanna season my buñuelera, which is this beautiful rosette or buñuelera that you can purchase at Northgate. I'm sure you already did if you're joining the class. I'm just gonna put it in here. This is gonna help keep the buñuelos from sticking to our rosette, which if it's new, sometimes it will stick a little bit, but I have tricks to show you on how to release your buñuelos if they do stick. So we're gonna let that season and warm while we make our batter for our buñuelos. Okay. Are you a buñuelos fan, Alicia?
I am. Good memories. My dad used to make them for us when we were kids. He hasn't made them, so maybe today we're having our posada today with our immediate family at my parents' house. So maybe I'll take the ingredients and make some down there.
Yay! Yeah. We miss these. We need these.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just move this over. So the ingredients for the buñuelos are really simple. I mean, it's not too much. It's just really the frying part, and I love them because they're so light and crispy, and it's a perfect treat for a posada, especially when it's cold and you have your atole or champurrado. It's just delicious. Okay. So first things first, we are going to break 2 eggs into a bowl. Do you have any questions?
Oh, I think we have something in the chat. It says, I know that this is off topic, but you mentioned cakes. I would love to join a cooking, baking class making a cake with chocolate abuelita. Hopefully this is possible class in the future.
Absolutely. If Northgate wants to do it, we can absolutely do a chocolate cake class with Abuelita. Right. We've got 2 eggs here. Let me just wash my hands because I have a little bit of white on my hands. All right, so I have my two eggs, and I'm also going to use 2 tablespoons of sugar. Let me just grab my sugar. And like I said, this is a very non-fussy recipe, easy to assemble, easy to get together. And I'm just going to beat these together until everything's combined and it sort of seems creamy. You can do this, you could do this in a mixer if you'd like. I like to do it by hand, so I could just keep an eye and not really overmix. This is the first part where you have to overmix, and we just want to really dissolve the sugar into the egg. It's a nice Saturday morning workout for my arm as well.
And I put in the chat the Buñuelos de Viento and also all the ingredients, and for the Atole de chocolate abuelita also.
Yay, thank you.
Of course.
Okay. Okay, so there we have it. It's all mixed in together. And I'm just going to stir in my milk. So I'm adding in 1 cup of milk, and this is whole milk. Just mix that in too.
And this is usually, you pretty much have all these ingredients at your house.
Yeah, oh my God, yes. Okay, let me see, where is my vanilla? So I'm gonna take 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and it's just, like I said, it's a super simple recipe. Just add in 1 tablespoon of vanilla. That's so good. All right, now let me just check my atole really quickly. And I see that it is bubbling. I'm just gonna still let the chocolate melt a little bit. And the same here. My oil is getting nice and hot. Perfect. Okay. So now I'm gonna take a sifter. I don't know if you have this kind of old-fashioned sifter or if you have a sifter that looks like this. The reason I like to sift my flour is because you could also use a sifter like this. I like to sift my flour because it creates less bumps in the batter, and we have a lighter batter to work with when we put it on the rosette. So first things,
they could probably use just anything else like a colander or something to strain it, or they don't have a sifter like yours.
What I do is, if I don't have a sifter, I'll just put the flour in a bowl, and with a fork, I'll take a fork and just run it through the flour so that you're breaking up all of the lumps in there. And that's basically what a sifter does, is it just takes out all of the lumps. You could do that, or if you don't have that, you can also whisk it. We just want to bring some air into the flour so that it's not clumped.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. So also when you're putting flour in a cup, it's instead of digging your cup right into the bag like that, which will be too much flour, it's always better to scoop it into your cup with a spoon so that we have some breathing room with the flour. And then it just makes sure it goes all the way to the end. I have a knife here, a butter knife, so that I could do this. Just tap the top and then use it as a scraper for the top. So there we have our perfectly measured flour. This will keep you from putting too much flour in your recipe. If a recipe calls for a cup, that's how it should be measured. So I'm going to put in a cup of flour into my sifter. And I'm also going to add in, hold on, 1 teaspoon of baking powder. 1 teaspoon. And I love this little thing here on the baking powder. It's created there so that you could slide your tablespoon across the top to get an even measurement. Just put that right up on top of the sifter, and then we'll add in the salt. Let me find my salt. Here we go. And it's really a pinch of salt. So the best way to measure a pinch of salt is just to get it in the palm of your hand like this and pinch, and that's it. And I'm going to add it right to the top as well. And we're going to sift. Move that out of the way. I'm just going to sift, and you can see how fine that flour is coming out now. And all the little rocks are staying at the top, and as you continue to move the wheel at the bottom, or with the other type of sifter, you could just spoon against the wire mesh and you'll get the same effect.
So I do have a question. Can you use a different milk, or do you have to use a whole milk?
You could use a different milk. You could use a coconut milk if you'd like, or an almond milk, or an oat milk. It has egg in it still though, so you're still creating dairy. If you're trying to avoid dairy, then I don't have a recipe right off of the top of my head on what I would use if I didn't want to use dairy, period. But you could use a different milk, yes, if you're lactose intolerant. Okay.
Could you pre-make the batter and use it later on, or do you recommend using it right away?
Oh, absolutely. You could pre-make it and use it later on. You could also double this recipe if you wanted to make a huge batch of buñuelos for people. Just depends on your situation, how many people are coming to your party. This batch, it depends also on the rosettes because the rosettes are sold in different sizes. So it also depends on the size of the rosette that you want to use. They have small ones. They have the large one like I just showed you that I bought at Northgate. But, you know, it just depends on the size. So in this case, I believe that this amount of batter for the large rosette should create about 8 to 9 buñuelos.
Got it.
So
not
you
bad.
could be there for, or you can make a big batch and then when you're having your posada, whoever wants one, they come over and you make it on the spot and you have a warm buñuelo. Okay, so now that we have the batter made, I'm gonna let it sit for 1 second over to the side and we're gonna attend to the atole. Okay, so I'm just gonna actually move to the other side of the room so that I could do this with you. Okay, so you could see here, the chocolate is nice and definitely melted. We didn't even need this molonillo because we got really involved in our buñuelo making, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna take out the cinnamon sticks with some tongs. Take out my cinnamon sticks and make sure I keep them to the side. Smells so delicious, crazy. The whole house right now smells so good. And then I have 4 cups of milk that I'm gonna add to this. And also I'm gonna add a pinch of salt, like we did earlier, where just add a little bit to your palm of your hand and add in the salt. And the salt is really to off balance the sweet. Just make sure that it's nice. And again, you could use any type of milk for this as well. If you could use low fat milk if you'd like, or you could use evaporated milk, or you could use almond milk or oat milk. I would suggest the almond or the oat because it'll play nicely to the chocolate flavors. Okay, I'm just gonna let that heat up, and once we have it heated nicely, I have it on low, so while my buñuelos are frying, we'll let that sit for a bit. Do we have any questions?
No, nothing. I think everybody's just watching here or making their own.
Perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead now and take my rosette out of the oil and let it drain just a little bit. We don't want it too wet. So between the batter, and then I'm also gonna blot it. Just just slightly. I'm gonna blot it on a piece of paper towel.
And they're asking, yes, you'll be able to get the recording. They'll go ahead and load it in the Northgate website for you guys all to rewatch if you need to.
Perfect. All right. And now I'm gonna dip my rosette right into the batter. And when you dip it in, you don't want it to touch the top. We never want to immerse it all the way in. You just want to put it up the sides. So I'm going to dip it in just to there, pull it out, and put it in my oil. And you see that? So immediately I start to look, and I'm going to use this little skewer to pull off the sides a little bit. Because my rosette is newer, it doesn't release as fast, but with seasoned rosettes, they'll release quicker. But still. So I just use a little skewer when it doesn't want to release on its own. And that usually helps it. It's so fun, so pretty.
Oh, wow.
You just use your skewer. It's perfect because we're gonna flip this pretty rosette over afterward and cook the other side. And it looks so decadent. It's like a beautiful little snowflake.
It's very pretty. And it'll be very impressive to take over to parties or posadas to somebody's house.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'm just going to pull this one out and put it on a board. And there, let me show you. So we're going to let that cool down a little bit, and I'm going to make another one. So here we go. Again, just dip it in. And into the heat. And usually you know that it's done when it stops boiling. It smells so good. The vanilla and the flour, the milk and the egg, it just all smells so good. Then we're gonna dredge these in sugar, so olvídate. Yep. I love that they have, you know, people love these at parties because they're unusual and they probably know that they took a minute to make. You don't see them all the time, and they're so light and taste so good. This one is sticking more than the others, but I'm still working on it.
Do you have to put it back in the oil before you put it in the batter, or you don't have to do it again? Like once you took it off, and then do you have to put it back in the oil and kind of shake it off and then put it in the, or you don't have to do that process again?
You don't have to always do that process. I didn't do it here, and this one's sticking a little bit. So okay. It probably works to do it.
Okay.
To, you know, do it every time, but it's still gonna come out pretty.
Does it help if you preheat it? That's what Octavio is asking.
It's been preheating this whole time.
Correct.
So it just depends. Like I said, this is a newer rosette and it's sticking. I think with time, as you make more, they season. So they're so pretty, and it's really worth the drama of taking them off. You just have to be patient and cook them on a low.
Oh, wow.
See? It's super pretty. All right. Yummy. I'm excuse the sweaty face. The sweaty face from the frying. All right, let's make another one. Let's do this method now where we're gonna dip it in. Let it heat up a little bit. Then remove the excess oil. Okay. Then I'm just gonna blot it just slightly because I don't want a ton of oil in my batter. And dip.
It's already cooking there. Look at all the steam.
Right. See, this one is better. Yeah, it just depends. Like on the rosette, it's newer, so it gets stuck. But like I said, once you season it and once you make a few buñuelos in, that won't happen anymore. By the time I get to buñuelo number 5, this will not be an issue anymore. Hey, yum.
Oh yeah, that one's coming off much quicker, I think.
Yeah. And if you have Christmas carols going, I know that Northgate has a fun Christmas carol playlists going right now that will help the process. Here we go. See?
Mm-hmm.
It always takes a few to get it right. And then after that, it's smooth sailing. Pretty. That one's mine. I'm putting my name on it. All right. So now I'm going to take this out. Do I have any questions?
No, I think everybody's being very observant here.
Okay, perfect. And I'm going to move this batter out. I'm going to show you how to dredge them. So I'm just going to take some sugar. Put that there. Turn this off. A little bit of cinnamon. And then just mix it with your hands so we could get the clumps out of that too. And I'm going to take this, the first one we made, because it's cooled down a little bit, and just dredge it with sugar. Flip it around. The same. And if you want to use a bigger plate or bowl to keep your sugar contained, you could do that too. Here we go. Yum. I'm just gonna put it back on my plate here. And let's make our atole so that we can have our buñuelos with our atole. Wait, I probably need to. I'm
So
like, wait a minute, that one isn't gonna cut it.
your helper's probably like, yeah.
My Christmas elf is here like, lady, what do you think?
You're not eating or?
Right? Like, that's my buñuelo. You want one, make another. All right, let's see. Look how pretty. This is how I pay my Christmas elf in Buñuelos de Viento.
Well, I'm sure he's okay with that.
All right, he is. She's like, well, I worked overtime. I need that atole too.
Okay, question. How long did those keep? I know they are best fresh as they are made.
I say that they would keep maybe for like a day. I wouldn't go past that just because you don't want them to get soggy. You want that crunch when you bite into them. And I'm going to show you when I get my atole going, we're going to bite into this. I just don't want to have sugar and buñuelos all over me until the end of class. And I'll be like, okay, let me move my atole closer to me, get this hot oil out. Here we go. No, I got it. Okay. So it looks like we're having a filled day there in the pot of atole. I'm just gonna stir it. It's been on low this whole time. And I can smell the chocolate and the cinnamon, and it's perfect. And at this point in the recipe, you can taste this and see what you want still. If you want it to be more chocolatey, you could add another tablet of Abuelita. I'm happy with this consistency, but I know people like things sweeter or less sweet, so I'm still gonna taste it though because I need to know. So I love that the cinnamon sticks perfume the water, and it really brings out the elements of cinnamon that are already in the Abuelita, and the salt. It's a perfect combination, but let me taste it anyway. That's happiness right there. Okay, so to thicken our cup, to thicken our atole, we're gonna use cornstarch, and cornstarch should always be dissolved in a cold water. So that's cold water there. And I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and that should be just about enough to thicken to the consistency I want. If you want yours even thicker than that, you can go ahead and use 3 tablespoons or 2.5. I think on the recipe I put 2.5, but lately I've been a 2 tablespoons girl. So feel free to make it thicker if you like, or not. So I'm going with a tiny little fork through the cornstarch, and it feels like I'm dragging my feet through mud, but keep on stirring until you get a smooth consistency, and then you know that all of the cornstarch has dissolved in the water. So now this is called a slurry, and we're gonna pour it into our milk chocolate mixture, and that's gonna be our thickener. Let me just grab something to mix my atole with. I have like the biggest spoon ever from Northgate. And I love it, and I'm gonna use it. Okay, so here we go. If you were making a gigantic pot of ponche or this on a large scale, this spoon works great, but guess what? It's gonna work great for my atole too. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and turn on the heat because this wasn't heating anymore, and pour this slurry into my warm milk, and slowly, just so that it doesn't clump, you mix while you pour in. Again. Happy. Oh my God, smells so good. I'm really friendly with the atole gods right now.
With this weather too, that's gonna be it's gonna complement the buñuelos so well.
Right? And you can see already that the liquid isn't moving as freely as it was before. The thickener is already starting to work. All we have to do is bring this heat up, let this heat up a little bit more, and then our atole will be ready. Oh my word. Smells so good. Are you an atole girl?
I do. I like atole, champurrado, all that great stuff.
Oh. Yeah, I do too. I can't decide if I like the chocolate atole or if I like the champurrado more, because the champurrado is made with corn, with the
Masa.
masa, yeah, and this is made with cornstarch. But I'm not putting my nose up to either one. They can both join in anytime they'd like. Okay. So now I'm just gonna take a ladle. I want it to get a little bit thicker. You see that? Did you see those little bubbles?
Uh-huh.
That's exactly what we're looking for. We don't want it to over boil because of the milk. It'll burn into the pan, and we don't want burnt milk at the bottom of our pan. So that's my indication that I'm looking for. This atole is ready. So I'm turning off my heat. Just gonna dig in. Put it in. And as it cools, it'll thicken as well. I'm just trying to pull some out so that I can have it with my buñuelo.
You're real tempting us here.
Okay. Do I have any more questions?
No, you do not.
Okay, well, with that, then let me try my buñuelo, because I want you guys to all hear the crunchiness of it.
Oh. I wish I could get that smell.
It's so good. I don't know what to say other than Feliz Navidad. This is the way to do it.
Yes, and thank you so very much, Nicole, and for everybody who joined us today. Like I said, they'll be posting the video up shortly, if not today, tomorrow. Thank you so much. You guys have a great day, and go out and make some atole and some buñuelos.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Northgate, for hosting these classes. It's been a fantastic 2021. I'm so grateful. And thank you. Thank you, everyone who joined. Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.